Howdy, y'all, and welcome to another high-powered episode of the High Voltage Live Show. I'm your host, Willie Snyder from NEC Code, coming to you live from the Mile High City in Denver, Colorado, joined by my awesome partner in crime, Mr. King James Stallcup, over there in second place Longhorn Country, giving them the old hook 'em horns from the Mile High City, representing the Stallcup Electrical Education. And looks like we already got a bunch of people popping in. We got David Engelhardt.
Hey,
Welcome
David.
in, David.
Hey,
Yeah,
brother.
we're excited too. We always seem to be getting those hot topics, and then what do we have here?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You on here, Danielle?
Oh man,
Yeah, take another whooping tonight, brother.
he wants revenge. Oh man, wants revenge. I think you're gonna have a chance tonight,
I
Daniel.
like your theme song.
Thanks so much, David. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Really
Much
appreciate you,
appreciated. Okay,
David.
before we get started, can I give some updates?
Yeah,
You okay with
let's
that?
do it.
You sure?
Yeah.
You're not gonna castorize me or nothing?
Well, no. I just want you to know that there's some better coming. I just don't want, I don't want you to get all comfortable thinking that you're off the hook, because
I'm never off the hook. You know that. Okay.
pretty soon there's gonna be something better.
We're getting real close. I'm actually in chapter 3 right now. There's 4 chapters, but they're 2 of the easier chapters from what the first 2 were. So the hash location book's going to be done here probably time we edit and everything. Should be pre-flighted and everything, and to the publisher and all that. Hopefully about mid-November. Might be just a little bit longer, but that'll be okay if it is. And then we're going to upload that onto the learning management site. And we got a couple other things that are going
And
to
we got the chant out there from David.
And the death match, I'm thinking December, but no later than January for sure. It's definitely coming. I've already set everything up on it. There's been a lot going on. First of all, I can say we got a lot going on. Plus, I've got 3 other attorney cases I'm working on. I just picked up another one yesterday, so I got all this stuff going on top of it. But we got all this other things going on too. So we're gonna bring that up, and when we bring it all up online and everything, we're gonna have all the publications. We will have the generator transform motor compressor book. We'll have the new hazardous locations. We'll have the grounding and bonding. We'll have the lightning protection. We'll have the journeyman and masters. So all of those have been redone in color. Then we're going to start, till probably about March. I'm going to just be doing illustrations. That's all I'm going to be doing after this book's done, other than, of course, the learning management system. Is awesome. James can find time to do these podcasts. Oh,
Yeah.
Bill will tell you. I get everything. I mean, I even get on something. You need to send me stuff because I got this amount of time today to do this, because I got a lot of stuff going on. But when we get we're going to start with the illustrations, getting the design done, because that's about 1,300 illustrations, but a majority of them's already done. We probably have already, out of 24 chapters, we've probably done 8, 9 chapters now. So we're going to start getting that ready for the 2026, because when we come out with the new design in 2026, it will be in color and a new layout and everything. Matter of fact, with the new layout and everything, we were speaking with the publisher. We're going to have 2 options. We're going to keep the same option we have, making changes that are in grayscale, where it'll be in 2 volumes. But when it goes to color, because of seeing everything in detail and all that, that's now we're setting it up. It's going to be a 3 volume that you will be able to purchase in color. So
Nice.
You can do it. You can purchase the PDF, or you can buy the book. It'll be more expensive, of course, because it's in color. But we are going to have that option. But the cool thing is, I will have all those available for everybody. But we'll also have another package. And the other package that I think everybody's really, or the instructors, they're going to like is we'll have an instructor package that actually comes with the presentation for all these publications. So the cool thing about it is you can have that you can buy that package, and then your students can you can buy, say you had a class of 20 students, you can say, okay, I'm going to have all these students. They won't have access to the presentation, but you can teach it online if you want. And over on the side, as I was showing the last time, you'll have your learning path, and then you have where we'll set up. I'll relabel that. I'll clone the course and relabel it and everything. And the only people that would have access is those students and that instructor, and they all connect with each other. Then you got a discussion tab on the side, so you can do this with the instructor with just the publications, which never been offered by anybody ever before, be able to do this. Or you can do it where we have the online class and we go in and explain everything with voiceover and everything, and the instructor can use that, or they can actually have that where they can come back and talk to the instructor. You know what I mean? So if they forget something, they can go in and listen. So we're going to have all kinds of options.
And I think you will probably get me squared up for those code changes too that you get me.
And that's another thing. As soon as I get that done, then I'm going to start the process here after first of the year, because I've already done, and the illustrated's done, by the way, which will be online. But I'm going to start taking the illustrated. I've already done everything all the way through chapter 3, so I only got, that the first 4 chapters are the biggest chapters in there. So I've already done the voiceovers for them with the video, all the linking and everything, all the interactivity that's involved with it. And we're going to set that up, and pretty much just those 4 chapters gets us through most of the states to submit to. So I'll start building the classes out for that, submitting to the states for license updates and stuff. So all that's coming this next year. So you're gonna see, how they say it, a very, very robust system. And we've also,
how many code changes are you expected to jip on Colorado this cycle?
Whatever it takes to get me to 24 hours. Probably through chapter 5, some of 6, and then they'll cut from that point, and I won't do any more for that. But
I'll have to pay for the extended package.
But I'll tell you what I'm gonna do this time, and nobody else offers this. Okay, if you purchase to get an update with the state, then I'm going to include the illustrated code changes with it. So you'll have 2 files that'll come. You'll have one that when you're finished, you don't have access to it anymore. That'll be your state license, but I'm going to go ahead and give the code changes with the audio and all the interactivity and everything as a way of saying thank you for using the Stalk Up products. And so instead of just having to buy it, now some will just go ahead and buy it individually right when it comes out, anyway. But I am going to offer that. I hadn't seen anybody offer, that type of access. Then another thing that will work.
So like for say my state of Colorado, they don't really check, but if I get audited, is there some kind of certificate you issue for completion of that?
Everything comes with a certificate. And if we have to, there's some states I have to report to after you take it, like Texas. After you take the class you pass, there will be a thing that comes up, lets me know, and then I'll submit that to the state. They'll automatically know the name. It doesn't take that long for me to do all that. But I'm not going to be doing that. Somebody else doing it when we get, start selling thousands and thousands and thousands of these things. I'm going to have it automatically set up to where they come in and it'll get done the next day, or within 2 days, depending on how many come in. So we'll have all that set up. And then another thing that we're going to do is, if you want, we're going to have where you can take and purchase all the publications, just have access to them, or classes, whatever you want to do. And then you can just purchase them, have them, and that'll always be in your account, or you can come in and you can do a monthly subscription where you have access to different things monthly. So I may have like NFPA standards monthly access that covers 70E, 70B. Then I may have one just for OSHA access, which would be your construction book, your general construction book,
I
and then
think
the
he
high
is going.
voltage.
I think you are going for Florida, aren't you, James? I
Yeah,
think
I'm
you
not
do.
mentioned there yet. I mean, I'm not approved there. I'm not approved anywhere yet, but that's coming. And for Florida, I've already looked at those and everything. I actually have to do a business portion one too. So it's sort of like
Nice.
here in Texas, I have to do Texas state law. So I have to create another little program that goes with it. But the way that that'll be set up is you'll have all your NEC stuff that they allow in safety, whatever I need. Like Texas, I'll do 3 hours of NEC code changes. Then I do 30 minutes of 70E. Then I do 30 minutes of Texas law. So it's all there. And then I'll have it set up to where they're in groups. So you'll basically do the NEC first. It'll show you completed it on the site. You got to go through each one of them. The video is what tracks it with audio and everything. So you can't click forward or anything. You just got to go through it. And then I'll do the 70E, and then I do the Texas state law that way. And then once all that's done, it completes. Then it automatically say you completed and everything what you needed to do. Then you'll have the certificate in your account for every class.
Nice.
Anything you complete will have a certificate saying that you went through all this. And the cool thing about that is, if you're taking a state, I won't have it on the state license. But if you got like the code change book that comes with it, then I'll have it set up on the side for general audience. And basically anybody that has that publication you're linked into there with, y'all can converse back and forth about the changes and stuff. So
What would be awesome too, is if we had like a counter of how many questions I got you on the code change publication. That'd be good. That'd be a good one.
one out of
So far,
250 of them, or however
far.
many I've done so far, is always ask it. And I'll tell you that one, I got it on the second one. Inspector and electrical. I'm doing whatever they require. If it's an inspector license or electrical contractor license, however they got it set up, I will try to get approved for all of those. So
Nice.
we plan
Yeah, if
on.
you have a special one too, David, let us know, because it's just the same submission form that he's got to submit. So
Yeah, once I get the class done, it's just form work at that point. Getting it submitted and approved. It takes longer to get. You remember back when we were doing it, and I was trying to get all approvals. It was during what? COVID, and I couldn't get a fucking approval for nothing. I'd call up there, they'd send me here. Everybody's working home, nobody call you back. I couldn't hardly get approval because nobody knew what the other hand was doing. And
yeah, and you don't have to deflect from the one question I did get you. It was a good one, and like a lot of people just think right away that 10K is the minimum on those breakers, but actually 5K and I don't think any breakers are gonna go lower than 10K. But
it was funny because I said, I think they changed it to 5. I said, I can't remember. And I said, I'll just go with 10, and I had the right section, but it was the second answer. But I said, I think they changed it, but I just couldn't remember. And that's the thing.
we got 2 thumbs up from David tonight.
Oh,
Right
thanks,
on,
brother.
David.
Well, I think you're going to like what we're covering tonight and everything. I've got some things, and it's funny because I've got the video. I've got it already set up and everything, where they were talking at the code making panel meetings, and they mentioned David was on there, and but they were on a delay feed or something, and there were some things that were said there we're going to talk about tonight for the topic of the week, and I think everybody will find it very interesting because it's sort of, from what I understand, I got a call from somebody and they said they were off. This wasn't at the code making panel meetings. This just happened the other day. I'm not going to say where because I don't want people knowing, but apparently a couple of them got mad. They were doing code questions and stuff, and the stalk-up name was mentioned, and they were trying to badmouth us and everything. And the story I got is the people in the audience got up and told them no. They said, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And they said the stalk-ups are correct on this, and told them you're about to be proven wrong on everything. So nice. That I think this podcast is getting out to a lot more people than what we realize. And
David had some interesting public inputs for 210.8F because I don't know if you remember that one. He had the cutoff was at 50 amps, and he basically was like, "Why is the cutoff at 50 amps?" Because the cord and plug connected limits at 60 amps. So
that's right. I agree with him 100% on that. Matter of fact, I think we even talked about that before it even happened. I said, I don't even know why that's there. It should be 60, Yeah. But there's things that are happening.
He had one, and there's not very many people that caught it. But when Mike Holt was talking, and it was in our audio that we posted when he was on NEC Live, he was saying that the outdoor outlets would be required in the garage and in the
he did.
And David made a clarification on there as a public input that it's outside the garage and outside the accessory building and outside those boat houses and stuff. So I think that's a good clarification
on that too.
Yeah,
100%.
So that was a good clarification.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's roll the meme. Let's get this party started.
Oh, you're gonna love this one. You're gonna love this one.
All right, let's roll it.
I mean, this whole thing just spiraled out of control, and when I saw that, I was like, oh man, I could see that though. They might not be using the broom right. They might look like a witch. You never know, especially around Halloween,
I actually like that. That's funny. And that's one thing you always used to hear the other trades complain that we never sweep.
Yeah, David likes it too.
I agree. That's funny. I like that one.
So it's really awesome. Like, I couldn't believe how much impact that I had. Not trying to like beat my chest or anything. I just couldn't believe how much impact I had with the public inputs and public comments, and when I was submitting them and stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, all your public inputs are gonna fail." I was like, "Really? Let's see if they will," And actually, one of them passed, and it caused a big problem with them. And it didn't necessarily pass. I haven't heard yet what actually happened, but it caused a lot of ruckus when it came to the EBSE. And I do agree with David that we have to make sure people aren't getting shocked while charging their car and stuff. But at the same time, too, as like they were sitting there saying, who was it? Bryce? Yeah, it was Bryce was sitting there like just basically taking all those guys to school on these EBSE chargers.
Sure
I was blown away because he was saying that they have heat sink in them to where if you put them on a 20 amp circuit, it only loads to 80% of that 20 amp circuit. So there's no adjustment factor needed for the branch circuit. Like, that was something I learned. I never heard that before. And then he was talking about if you have like that Class A device on it, it's not compatible, and something happens, then the device fails to communicate, and it's not able to retry, or it's not able to see what the problem is. Mm-hmm. And like I say, he was saying that worldwide they haven't had any incidents with any of these chargers. So
And that was
quite
even with stuff that wasn't even had a listing with UL that they were buying from Amazon and everything. Hadn't even gone through the process. They still couldn't find anybody hurt.
Well, and I thought it was interesting what he said was that even these cheap knockoffs were actually copying the expensive brands, and they're putting that safety in there.
That's right.
And they have all this. There's extensive safety on these devices, So that's kind of our point. And the whole thing is that the hazard that they're trying to list with this 210.8F is based on an energized metallic frame of utilization equipment. And a lot of this utilization equipment now doesn't even have a metallic frame. So you're starting to run out of stuff. And it was funny, I was talking to one of the people at work about it, and we started looking at, what do you guess, a refrigerator. And a refrigerator is not even metallic. Nothing on the fridge was metallic. It was all fiberglass, and there was nothing that could be energized. I mean, maybe some screws or something, but it was. I was flabbergasted. I was sitting there opening it, looking at it, trying to find some metal, and there wasn't no metal. And that was kind of my point, is that some of these manufacturers, when they start having some of these complaints come back and they say, yeah, these people are getting energized on the metal frame, they're like, well, why don't we just make it not out of metal anymore?
There was a statement made. Why do people say that the listing is? Oh, well, that's just a thing. It can be ETL, it can be FM, it can be Goodhue, Strauss and Hugh. It can be any type of CSA, any of those. It can be any type of testing laboratory.
Yeah,
it's just they use the UL standards in order to do their testing.
So we did notice that, David, that is a common thing that some people have in the myth. We actually did a myth about it, where some people think all electrical products need to be UL listed, and that's actually incorrect. And the other thing to notice, David, and this is where the argument comes in. So the EBSE it's for the standard for EBSE. I can't remember, it's like 2168 or whatever it is. That UL standard requires personnel protection for the input and output of that device. Now, where the argument comes in is that the world standards say that threshold could be 30 milliamps. And anything below that 30 milliamp threshold is considered personnel protection all around the whole world. But the National Electric Code lists it as 4 to 6 milliamps. And so this is where the argument comes in, is that they're saying it has to have GFCI protection for the personnel protection. And that's why they were trying to delete 62522 to basically say that it can't be the internal of the equipment. It has to be outside device protecting the branch circuit that's installed on. And so that's where the whole big argument's coming in, because co-making panel 2, co-making panel 12, other co-making panels are saying that personnel protection is not recognized by the National Electric Code. So that's kind of where the whole argument comes in, that that's acceptable for the world standard, but it's not acceptable for the NEC standard.
Yeah. And one of the things I'll point out, and I've always made this argument, if you notice till this argument with outlet come in, is when did we actually require the GFCI protection? It's where you had people that were interacting with it, cord and plug connecting, things like that. And so naturally it makes sense at this point. When you have EVSE, you got personnel or just homeowners, whoever owns them, they're out there interacting, plugging that car in and out, just like anything you cord and plug connect. That's why the units itself were built with GFCI protection. And
but it's technically not GFCI protection, it's GFPE protection.
Well, sure it is.
And worldwide, that's an acceptable standard. Now, when you get into some of these we always criticize this because it's really hard to pick and choose between all this different stuff. But there was a bunch of list items that got deleted from 210.8d. And, like, when you look, like, I've heard certain podcasters, I won't mention their name, say that they think it's ridiculous for a dryer to be on GFCI. I actually disagree with that. There's been numerous stories of people crawling inside their dryer trying to get some clothes out and it become energized and they couldn't get out and got killed. That's horrible. I feel that Class A device, totally fine. I have no problem with that. Hardwired or cord and plug connected. I don't know why you have to say them different. Just say when it's connected to an outlet. But, the whole thing is that I agree with that. I think that is a good change. I feel that should be in the list items. Same thing with like a dishwasher. You got water in there. You got people crawling in there trying to get their dishes. That's some pretty heavy interaction with the equipment. If anything becomes energized, you have water in there. It doesn't matter about the metal, If that water becomes energized and you're inside that dishwasher, you got problems. I agree with that.
Well, the thing I'll say about that, there's technical merit that's provided for that. So I heard that a barefoot child that touched an AC got that for the outdoor outlet requirement too. Well, that'd be interesting. I haven't heard that, but that if that happened, that tells me that the AC unit probably wasn't wired right.
Yeah, I don't think that it was barefoot, but
I hadn't heard that one. All I do know is this: on the AC unit, when they started requiring the GFCI protection, and the documentation that was submitted had nothing to do with the AC unit and its failure. What it all had to deal with was either it was wired incorrectly or it was due to maintenance on it, and they didn't follow 70E. Now, I will say this. I got in this debate, Brian Rock, and he provided all this technical jargon, trying to trip me up. And I told him, I said, since
it might have been the same one, David, with the with Barntrell Pergo in Southside Chicago.
It could have been. But I told him, I said, since when is it the purview of code making panel 2 to provide protection for people that are providing maintenance on equipment? And then the next thing you know, he did a bunch of inappropriate memes and called me, I'm not going to, starts with an R, but, and then he left the group and never would speak again. So, a lot of times, and I've stated this many, 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 many times, I don't ever have a problem with GFCI protection. But if you're going to provide protection, you need to do the technical merit that's necessary, first of all, to see if the device will hold for what you're going to require it on, and what type of devices need to be used if you're going to require it. And that's where I had it, just to say it's an outdoor outlet, which I disagreed with. And, well, we're going to get to that in a little bit. I don't want to go too much in. Matter of fact, it'd probably be good to go ahead and get to the myth and then let me get to the topic and go through and show what's happened and explain everything. What do you think about that?
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
We can sit here and talk all day, but we got some stuff that we're actually covering on this. So I thought it'd probably be good to just go ahead and get into it. So
yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and cue your myth up, brother.
It's time for Myth of the Week.
All right, so we constantly argue about this all the time, and it's a lot of fun. I really don't mind it. It's a new Myth of the Week this week, and I've heard this misquoted a lot out there where people say an outlet is any point on the wiring system. is considered to be an outlet. So you can just put it wherever you want, and you can make this connector an outlet. That is false, 100% false. Just to kind of go into kind of what Dave was talking about to kind of bring context to this. And I didn't hear, if this is about Montrell Pergo in Southside Chicago, I didn't hear him about him being barefoot. But there was a kid who was running home, like late for curfew or something, and him and his friend were running through backyards. He jumped a 6-foot chain link fence and he landed on a hardwired AC unit. The maintenance crew had just recently changed that unit out, and they had changed it out with what I would imagine was Carflex or maybe Seal Tight, but they actually incorrectly used that raceway as the equipment ground. Yep. And if anybody knows, that equipment ground is limited to 20 amps and it's limited to 6 foot. And from what indication of all the experts that were there investigating, that this wiring method was anywhere from 15 to 20 foot long. So what happened was, when he landed on this AC unit, he crushed the seal tight, lost the equipment ground, and then from what I understand from just the details is that he leaned down, touched the AC unit that had become energized, and grabbed the chain link fence that was grounded, and basically killed him. And I'm not sure if it was 220 or if it was 110, but without a ground reference, then that frame became energized. The paramedics actually said they had never seen that in all the years of doing paramedics. To have somebody die from electrocution like that is very tragic. And they had a laundry list of things that were done wrong with the wiring. Just a piece of copper in that seal tight wiring method would have saved this kid's life, and so they decided that they didn't want to try to kick it around, so Code Making Panel 2 pushed it through to say all outdoor outlets require GFCI protection. While I do think that is clever, it caused them problems, and this is the problem right now, because me and King James went through this quite a bit, where we're like, they said, well, the outlet's the disconnect. And at first, when I first heard it, I thought, you know what? That's really smart to, say it's the disconnect, because, that's going to be the thing that you're going to be pressure washing, or that's the thing that's going to get wet or whatever. Well, then I had King James on my podcast. It was like around September 11th, 2021. And we went over the whole thing, and I said, yeah, the disconnect's the outlet. And he was like, no, that's not right, And so I started kind of saying, well, how could the disconnect be an outlet? It's a switching device, and then we kind of went through that on my podcast. It was a really good episode. And then we started kind of thinking, well, the outlet's got to be at the end of the branch circuit from what they're saying. So if this connector is at the end of the branch circuit, is this your outlet? And that's where it runs into problems, because that's the only way it can be. Because the minute that wiring method enters that equipment, now it's governed by a UL standard. And James correctly identified this as, if this connector is weather rated or waterproof rated, and your wiring method is waterproof rated, how come the inside of the equipment is not rated for a wet location? So it got pretty interesting. And like I say, the biggest problem that I have with the whole incident, and like I say, the Montrell Pergo incident that they based the change for 210.8F, that change, it happened in 2007. So it happened on an old unit in 2007 that was miswired by the maintenance crew. So you have a lot of different things that was kind of like a perfect storm that happened. And So that's where it kind of runs into problems a little bit, you know.
Sure.
And the other issue is I don't care how many times I got you know, Tommy D disagreed with me the other day saying that because I said the National Electric Code cannot cover misuse of equipment. And he goes, "Oh yeah, I disagree. We cover all the time misuse of equipment." And I think he's wrong. I think he's thinking of abnormal conditions, not abnormal use. So if I'm normally using a breaker, am I putting 70 amps on it? You know, like the whole thing is the breaker's designed for what amperage it is.
That's right.
If I'm normally using that breaker, then I'm normally putting what it's designed for. Now, yeah, I could go plug in a 50 amp air compressor to it and misuse it, but that's not the purview of the code making panel. So that's where I kind of got into it a little bit with them, you know, and it's actually, you know, kind of funny too, you know, David, that we kind of get into this. I mean, you know, trust me, the loss of life is sad, and that's horrible. But at the same time, I think they're trying to push this whole outlet thing, you know, where an outlet is a point on the wiring system which current is taken to supply utilization equipment. Well, I submitted public input for 2026, and you know, it basically says that the outlet is frequently misused to refer to receptacles, you know, and that's the whole thing, you know. A receptacle is not an outlet, but an outlet doesn't have to be a receptacle, you know. And this whole thing is just, it's kind of interesting. Me and James have been through it with them, and they've, you know, we've had some fun with them. But at the same time, it's like we have to come to a point where this equipment has to work. And so that's where I submitted a public input for 62554. And I'm saying, okay, so if you're saying 210.8F covers outdoor outlets, and you're saying this, it covers this hardwired equipment, then you should say it covers this hardwired equipment, because currently it does not. If you install an EBSE, you only have to provide GFCI protection for the receptacles currently. There's a code change for 2026. They're trying to push it through to say that it would require Class A protection on all outlets that EBSE is connected to. The interesting part is if you read it, it says GFCI protection is required for outlets and receptacles that are installed to connect EBSE. So that's kind of an interesting twist, but this myth is, you know, really busted, James. I mean,
Well,
I don't think it could be that connector.
let me step in just for a second on something. There's a reason I put this in the presentation tonight, because we talk about an outlet. It says a point on the wiring system at which current is taken to supply utilization equipment, and then they have the NFPA enhanced content, and they're talking about receptacle outlet. In other words, that's where you're cordon plugging something in. Now, the reason I put this here is because I'm going to get into this in a little bit, what you're going to hear. But the reason I put this in for this myth is I want to point out there's a reason we have the definition of an individual branch circuit. And when you read that definition, it doesn't say anything about an outlet. It says supply utilization equipment. And what they're trying to tell you, everything has an outlet. I don't agree. Everything doesn't have an outlet. And just like going to the AC unit, you're going to the disconnecting means, and then you're going to the AC unit, and you're making a termination. There's no outlet there. And co-making panel 2 handles those definitions. Now, that you submitted in the last cycle, and you said an outlet, and they reject you and said there can be more than one outlet. And I said, okay, well, if you want to say that, I just resubmitted what you had, and then I put in parentheses an S there, so you can have one or more outlets. If that's what you want to say, that's fine. But now I want to see you reject it and what's your substantiation. But with that being said,
I don't understand why you can't just put outlet in the definition. It's always there.
Well, they're not going to because they know they're wrong.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
And that's okay. But that's when when I saw what we were going to do tonight, I was like, okay, well, I think it might be at this time, since we got some audio and stuff, for everybody to see where we're at as we're dealing with a junction box is not unless outlet unless it supplies utilization equipment.
Yeah,
it depends. It depends. I agree with that if it's an individual branch circuit.
Yeah, so let's just say this is kind of where we're coming into it. If you go look at, like, say the same box, say like let's just say a lighting outlet. So
okay, I agree with a lighting outlet because that would be the box up there, and you could be going into another room and hitting another switch and supplying another outlet box over there. So I would agree with that.
Let's just look at, like, let's just say we have a box up there and we're connecting 4 luminaires to that box. To me, the lighting outlet is that box, and you're connecting 4 luminaires to that box. And those fixture whips are not part of the branch circuit. They're just equipment wiring to that outlet.
Yeah, the box is the outlet. And but that's going to be interesting. I'm going to go through a couple of things that I did for this upcoming cycle. So let me go ahead and tee up the topic of the week, and then we're going to listen to a couple of things, and I'm going to show some things.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know we do have an easy quiz, so if you stand by in about 15-20 minutes, we're going to have the Willie Quiz, and it's real easy. I was running people past the questions, and I didn't give away no answers.
All right. Well, before we get started here, I'm gonna take us over the audio. I want y'all to listen to the audio. This happened. They're at the second revision for the 2026 NEC. And I think it's very interesting to hear what was said. And then I will go through and show what happened in the first draft. And I'm going to show what got rejected and everything, and some of the comments that they made. And I'm going to explain why I feel those comments were made, and hopefully give an idea of what I think is about to happen. Okay? So, and apparently, well, just let me play the audio, and then everybody can listen from there, and we'll go from there. So let me go ahead and get this popped up. Let's see. Where am I here? I'm not seeing. Oh, Chrome tab. There we go. Yeah, that's the one I want right there. Oh. Let me do it again. I hit cancel. I don't know why the hell I did that. Okay, there we go. Now I can share it. Okay, so I'm going to start this. I got it set up, and everybody listen to what Seth's going to play for a little bit.
Yes. The seat of the stool.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
There you go.
The seat of the stool.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can't sit on 3 little posts.
Right, exactly.
And it pulls it all together.
It pulls it all together.
Man. Just
Yeah,
came up with a new analogy.
I had no idea what you were talking about for a minute, but yeah,
And he
that was
said
good.
the seat.
That
Yeah.
was like the seat. I thought there was a joke or something.
No, it's the
No, that's
seat.
perfect. I love
Yeah,
it.
it's the seat. I love it.
Panel 1 right now has changed the definition of outlet.
I saw that.
It's totally broken.
It is.
That-
When I
that
read it this
cannot
morning.
Continue to pass.
Oh,
So there's panel 1 right there. We're gonna have to go grab it.
yes.
So yeah, because that's a major problem. Receptacles are no longer an outlet, right?
Yeah.
It passes.
They never were.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder
so,
if there's a way to fix it. Like, could somebody reopen, make a motion to reopen
sure.
and fix it?
yeah.
I don't know what the
still-
language. I'd have to
Oh,
look
yeah.
and see how would you
So
fix
what
it?
drove this change? Because receptacles have been outlets since
You know,
forever.
actually, I know. what
Oh,
drove
so
this.
do I.
I don't.
It's all about, is the HVAC unit on the outside of the house, is the outlet in the HVAC unit, or is it in the wall?
Oh,
Or I've heard some people say the outlet
Yeah.
is in the panel board.
Yeah, and I would, personally, I would call those people wrong.
I know, I would too.
You know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is one of the things that happens is these things are so cyclical. Back in 2002, when we first added AFCIs,
Right.
99 effective date 2002, we said it had to be for the receptacles in the bedrooms. Everybody knows what a receptacle is, and
Sure.
What a
I
bedroom
think we
is.
pretty much know what a bedroom.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop right there. Now, the first thing I
Moss
want,
is lost, brother. He just walked into electrical world, bro.
Yeah. We'll get you in a minute. So, what they did, they basically come in and they stated that they changed the definition of an outlet. We need an emergency TIA for that, and now apparently a receptacle is not an outlet. Well, no kidding. And
never
that
was.
is why I put the NFPA enhanced content on your myth of the week so everybody could see it. Okay. So with that said, let's take a look here and show you what we got here. Now I went and typed all of this in so everybody could see it better instead of seeing it, where we take a screenshot and put it up. I type this in so you can actually see the wording better. Now, this particular one was on the definition of an outlet. This was in the first revision. It was public input number 174. And basically what Don Gennari wanted to do, he wanted to delete the definition and put a new one in that stated the point where branch circuit conductors connect to or will be connected to utilization equipment terminals or conductors. So in other words,
Right.
any place that a conductor come in, that was the end of the branch circuit. Therefore, that was considered your outlet. And his statement on it was, he said, with the addition of 210.8 to the code, it seems that a number of code users no longer understand what an outlet is. One code instructor and author, I wonder who that could be, is teaching that there is no requirement to provide GFCI protection for an outside air conditioner because it is not connected to an outlet. This public input is intended to make it clear that any and all functioning equipment is supplied by an outlet. Well,
Rejected.
first of all, we know who he was talking about. And, when this was going in, we had the boys over at ECD over there telling me, yeah, you're going to be proven wrong and we're going to get clarity on this. Then once it was rejected, the next thing that happened is it already provided clarity. Therefore, it didn't need to be changed. I said, nah. I said they rejected what he did, and their statement on it was the proposed text does not add clarity or usability. So then he turns around, and now Bill will verify this, and anybody that has seen this argument going on. This was submitted by me. Now, first of all, I put requirements in the informational note. I did not want anything in the definition. I wanted them to, first of all, I wanted it rejected. But the main thing is I wanted to put a note in here of all the different locations that we had been given. So basically what I was doing, they had the opportunity here, the code making panel did, code making panel 1, that they could have taken any one of these. They could have put it in the definition, rewrote it. I mean, they could have done anything they wanted to do here to clarify where the outlet was. So, like Bill was saying, when this first took place, they said it was on the load side of the disconnecting means. And I told them, no, you don't know what you're talking about. I said that the disconnecting means a device. And if you go look at a device, I said, hell, you're saying a circuit breaker could be a device. Now, I will state this, who we just listened to, Ryan Jackson, that was there. His first instinct was it was at a disconnecting means. And they argued with me left and right. Then I guess Ryan heard what I said. And then the next thing you know, he changed his mind where the location was. That all happened. My Coke too did the same thing. So they started changing their location since that didn't work for them. So the
Mike
next
Holt says that nobody knows what he's talking about if he doesn't have an arrow pointing to something. So he has an arrow pointing to the disconnect because that's the easiest.
well, that's because he couldn't make his mind up where it was because Corey Hammond didn't tell him where it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
That happened. We got the audio video to show you that too. And
With
then
some sweet 12-string plucking.
they said it was the wiring method itself was. I said, I just told them, I said, that's ridiculous. I said, if you're saying that, anything, anywhere in the system can be an outlet. And so then they come back and they told me it was that inside the utilization equipment. I said, well, that's fine. I said, is that rated for a wet location? And they said, what the hell does that have to do with? I said, well, if I put a box outside, I said, my wiring method, my wires, my box, everything outside has to be rated for a wet location. And I said, they design the things by the code. And if they're designing by the code and saying it's listed for the code, like you're saying, I said, that would have to be a weatherproof location. I said, but they didn't do that because that's their own equipment. And I said, they considered it not part of what? The installation requirement.
Yeah.
That's the difference right there. And
yeah,
so,
if they were going off the NEC, they wouldn't be able to put relays in there. They wouldn't be able to put contactors in there. They wouldn't be able to put
that's right.
all the different capacitors in there. They wouldn't be able to put all those parts in there because those are not listed for a wet location.
That's right. And that's why I was trying to explain all this to them. So then after, I think they got all these different locations from Ryan, because every time that I argued with them, it'd take them 2 to 3 hours to come back with something. Then they finally come back and said, it's where the wiring method connects to the equipment. And I think that's where Ryan's still at today. And I said, you mean to tell me I have an outlet that it can float in an infinite space?
Do you remember when Mike Holt was saying that it's the conductors where they leave the seal tight in the audio?
Yeah.
I was saying, is it at the disconnect or is it the conductors where they leave the seal tight?
Yeah.
You know, and you can't say the thing that bothers me about this is, so Montreal Pergo got killed by a piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
He got killed by a piece of energized equipment. Well, it's specific in 210.8F that they're protecting the branch circuit. They're not protecting the equipment.
That's right.
And so that's where they have this problem. That's why they have to say it's the seal tie. It's still part of the branch circuit. It's still the wiring method.
Nope. They got a major problem, but the committee statement was here, the proposed information does not support the definition. Well, no kidding it doesn't, because none of those are an outlet. That's the whole point why I submitted it that way. I wanted them to say what they did, but we'll take it a little bit first. So then Don decided, you know what? We need to fix the definition of a receptacle outlet. And he put a point where the branch circuit conductors are connected to one or more receptacles. Oh, well, that's interesting, because I also took and showed that I had an informational note here. I have that in there just for the point, so everybody remember what I said here, okay, about an outlet. And what did the committee say? The term outlet is already defined. The definition has been updated to improve clarity. Okay. Now, with that in mind, he decided, let's look at a lighting outlet, and he did the exact same thing. He said a point where the branch circuit conductors are connected to or intended to be connected to a lamp holder, luminaire, fixture with whip conductors. Now, that's interesting. Now, let me explain why that's interesting. Is because you just told me when I come back here, let's come back here to an outlet. You just told me in an outlet here, it's a point where it's connected to where? The utilization equipment. But when I come over here and I look at a lighting outlet, this is a point where the branch circuits are connected to or intended to be connected to a lamp holder. Well, are you saying here that the lamp holder luminaire, or if you come with fixture whip conductors, now all of a sudden, where is it? It's inside the box. You see, you're picking and choosing because he realized he had a problem by putting it in there. So what did the committee say? The current definition is clear. The word whip does not appear in the NEC, so adding the phrase fixture whip conductors would not reduce confusion. Yeah. So they're basically telling we don't agree with what you said here. But with that said, what did I do? I said, well, let's look at a disconnecting means, since some of them still think about that. And I just want to read their resolution. They said the load side of a disconnecting means is not always the outlet. Oh, you got to be kidding. Well, let's take a look at that for a second. If it can't always be an outlet, when can it be an outlet? A disconnecting means. Well, let's say that I come over here on the wall and I got a switch there, and I come over and I feed a lighting fixture, luminaire, directly. Okay, there's no box up there. So now where would your outlet be? It'd be just like the receptacle outlet. It'd be where? At that switch. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
and it wouldn't be the load. It wouldn't be the load side terminals of the switch either.
Yeah. So let's think about that for a second. When other time can I take and have any type of disconnecting means? I'd like somebody to explain it to me. How can I have a disconnecting means and have an outlet other than that one instance I gave you? That's the only one I can think of. So if I go to an AC unit and I've got a disconnecting means out there, are you trying to tell me that I come over here and I take and I hit the AC unit? I have an outlet there at the AC unit, but if I have a disconnecting means over here and I got a switch and I wire directly to it, then I can have a lighting outlet there. Are you going to tell me now the lighting outlet's up at the luminaire? So I just gave you two instances. So somebody explain, when can I have a disconnecting means that the disconnecting means becomes the outlet?
So the reason that they have to do this is because, like, let's just say that you have a factory wired motor, and now all of a sudden you run that factory wired motor straight to your disconnect with the factory wiring. Well, the NEC doesn't cover that factory wiring, so now they're saying that the load side terminals of the disconnects your outlet because the NEC doesn't cover the factory wired equipment. So that's where they have a problem.
Sure they do. And all of these items that we're discussing here, we've brought these up before. We've gone through them and explained exactly what is taking place. But I'm going to take it a step further. If the outlet is a point on the system like they're trying to tell us, then why does it say here, and this is going to go through from I'll just say it was 100% voted on in the first draft of 2026. And it's in Article 314 that deals with your outlets, your device boxes, pull boxes, junction boxes, all that. And it says a reconditioned outlet, device, pull, and junction box, conduit bodies, fittings, and hand hole enclosures shall not be permitted. So I can't recondition an outlet. Well, explain to me what is an outlet? If it's a point, how do you recondition a point? And that goes back to what I say. I could have a device box that's set there. I could have a switch there and go up and hit a box in the ceiling. The box in the ceiling, which I've stated, the box is the outlet. And then over here, the switch, that's just what, now at that point, what is that? That's a device box, isn't it?
So I guess
I can't recondition that or that outlet box up there.
I guess my problem with this one is that most of these enclosures are not even required to be listed. So, like, how is this? To me, I don't think this is really good. Like, I could see that, like, if you were gonna say like specific enclosures, like if you were gonna say like explosion proof or wet location rated, yeah. But for them to say just all enclosures, like, dude, Willie Jackerson has been making those in his garage. He's been reconditioning the hell out of them, and you know the thing is, like, they're not even required to be listed in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
I
my,
get,
my whole point behind it is, and I've already done this. One of the things that I submitted for the second revision, I put in there on the definition of lighting outlet and receptacle outlet. I said the box is the outlet. I've actually put it in as full code text, so there wouldn't be any definition or any, hopefully, misinterpretation from that point on. And now they're saying, oh, now all of a sudden we've got to have an emergency TIA for the definition of the outlet, and all of a sudden nobody knows what. All of a sudden a receptacle is no longer an outlet. It never was an outlet. And one of the things you and I argued about with them all the time, they used to say the receptacle and the receptacle outlet are the same thing. I said, you're full of crap. I said, the receptacle outlet's the box. And they said, no, it's not. It's the point inside a box. I said, that's a bunch of crap. Well, Don Gennari submitted exactly what they were saying, and guess what happened? It got rejected.
well, and to add a bunch of insanity to this, if you're gonna go off the logic of what they're saying, then you would say you would need a GFCI breaker on a GFCI device, because the wires that are connecting to that device are not GFCI protected.
Yeah, you know, it's like one of them they were saying. I said, well, if I have a unit out there that already has GFCI protection and everything, why do I need GFCI protection if it's hardwired? They said the code requires it. And I said, you know, I said, first of all, I've never heard of somebody double GFCI protecting something. I said, first and foremost, I said, but I'll tell you this. I said, I feel dumber just listening to you make that comment. I said, I've never heard anybody ever say that before.
Well, what is the AHJ inspecting off of? The listed and labeled instructions.
That's right.
The
sure
inspector is not inspecting. The inspector doesn't pull out his 2023 code book on how to inspect stuff. You know,
no, and that goes back to what I said. And people, y'all can go look this up. If you go look at OSHA 1910.7 B23, go pick that up. It goes in and it's a full thing in there. It talks about all the different industries, people that are involved for designing the testing procedures and standards. And then it comes in and it talks about everything they follow in order to do that. And they tell you they follow national codes and installation standards, and then all other standards that could have an impact on that equipment. So if they're following all of that and that equipment is deemed safe, why would I need to do all this other stuff? I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, and if the manufacturer tells you don't put GFCI protection on it, who do you think the inspector is going to listen to? Somebody that is on a code making panel saying you need to put that on there. Are they going to listen to the manufacturer of that equipment who's responsible for it? They're going to listen to the manufacturer of the equipment. I'm telling you, I've done this for too long.
It actually did get pretty asinine when it comes to that, because they were sitting there, oh, we mandate this, and it's like, no, you guys are getting a little too big for your britches, because the thing is that you guys write code language and then it's interpreted by the AHJ. The whole reason why I got involved in this public input cycle was because I wanted to try to bring a little bit of reality back to this whole program, because one of the biggest things that we run into, this probably goes back a ways, I couldn't even tell you how long, you probably remember, probably into the 05, 02, ways back. I think Ryan Jackson was talking about it when they first added refrigerators, and they said, doesn't matter if it's in a kitchen, it's within 6 foot of a sink, then it's got to have a GFCI, you know. And
I think that's about 2005 when they started doing
So currently under the 2023 NEC, they say any receptacle in the kitchen doesn't matter. It has to be GFCI protected. That's fine, but at the same time, a lot of these refrigerators aren't compatible with Class A devices.
That's
And they
right.
actually tell you do not install a Class A device. So I submitted for the 2026 to put an overall exception for incompatible equipment as long as they have the listed and labeled instructions, And I'm sure it'll get rejected. But at the same time, it's like, why is that reality such a bad thing? Why can't you have that listed and labeled piece of equipment, show the AHJ, and then put it on a standard thermal mag? If they move out and they have to bring in a different refrigerator that is compatible, they have to put it on a Class A device. It's not that hard.
And
I don't
I'll
see
take it
this-
a step further. If co-making panel 2 is so right, then why did you have to take and come to an agreement with
17.
Article 422 on specifically Section 422.5? And now all them items you added in 2023 it had to have this GFCI protection are now removed from that section.
Microwave, gone.
Yeah. Why did
Cooktop,
it get
gone.
removed? I'll tell you why.
Oven,
Because
gone.
you overstepped your boundary and you didn't have the technical merit to do what you did.
True.
That's what happened. And, they're probably going to be pissed off at me, because I just said that. But it's true. You required something without the technical merit to do so. You didn't even provide the technical merit to see if it was compatible with those items. And
Do you know why?
and the
Do you
other
know why?
hold on. The other co-making panels stood up to you is what happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Whether they want
Sure.
to hear it or not, that's what happened. And you came to a compromise, all right, because who is responsible for that equipment? The manufacturers. Just like I said, they have the listing and labeling on it. You have the jurisdiction over the branch circuit, not the equipment. So
True.
that's-
So basically, if you go look? So the reason that they're adding those items is because they went and they looked at consumer safety products, and they looked at a number of electrocution deaths, and the number one reason that they were electrocution deaths is because they were working on their equipment while energized.
That's right.
And if you're working on an oven while energized, that's bad news. If you're working on a microwave while energized, that's bad news. If you're working on any of that equipment, you shouldn't be doing that. That's abnormal use of equipment. That's not covered by the National Electric Code. The National Electric Code can cover abnormal conditions. Like if a rainstorm comes in your kitchen, then it kills that branch circuit. They could cover that, but they can't cover abnormal use. The human can abnormally use anything they want, and that can't be covered in the code. It's impossible.
Let me clarify that a little bit for people that are
Okay.
watching this so you understand exactly what Bill's saying.
Okay.
I've been on the 70 committee since it pretty much started. I've heard all arguments, everything. We actually have a section there that talks about normal operation of equipment. And basically, you can have equipment that switches on and off and doing these things, but it was designed and built that way. That is a normal operation of that equipment. So it's okay for people to be walking by with it. Where you start getting into the problem is when you interact with that type of equipment. Now, with a refrigerator, it's designed based on the fact that people are going to be interacting with it. Okay, so they've got certain protection stuff that are built into different types of equipment, just like they do with EVSC. Okay, so that is part of the listing and labeling. They realize the interactivity. It's no different than me plugging in a blender, a toaster, or something like that. They realize that, hey, that's going to be on the counter. There could be water and stuff there, so they require what? GFCI protection. So there are levels of protection that are built in to help take care of that stuff. And I want to put it this way, that is considered the normal operation of that equipment, and certain safety guidelines were put in place. For them to come in and just start arbitrarily saying, well, you need to add Class A protection also. No, that isn't correct. And that's why 210.8D, they deleted them items because they didn't have the technical merit to do it. I'll guarantee you that's what happened. If so many people were getting killed on that, you think it would have got deleted? Rest my case.
Yep. Yeah, and like I say, I'm not trying to, downplay electrical safety. Like, I think it's very important.
Well,
and,
sure it is.
And part of that safety is, like, normal use of equipment. Like, for example, where I really thought about this right before I came to do the interview with you for my podcast on GFCI, I was in a food processing plant, and my hands were wet, and I was drying my hands with a 208 volt hardwired hand dryer. And I'm sitting there, hands wet, non-metallic piece of equipment, and I'm thinking to myself, what's the point of this being GFCI?
Yeah.
And it was funny because I was talking to the guys from the plant, and they were, oh man, we're the utmost safety conscious. Like, if you see any kind of safety violation around here, you need to let us know and we'll change it and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't see the issue here. Like,
it wasn't.
Like, I don't see what's going to kill me. It's like, yeah, the plastic's not going to get energized. My hands are wet, but my hands are isolated. My hands are floating in air right where the outlet is. So.
And I'll say one thing. I think him and here in the 2026, this second revision, apparently whatever happened to the definition of an outlet, I think we're about to see everything we've been saying is true, and that's going to be what's going to be required. But I will say, as soon as I get the information on that, because it will be one of the changes and everything, we will have the updated, and I'll do a topic on it, topic of the week. I will go over that and show everybody what took place, what was said. I want to look at all the other definitions too that'll tie in with that. And then I'll have an author's comment for the publication that comes in, and I'll explain everything, what the final verdict was.
And so one of the things that I kind of want to let everyone know, me and James, we do this a lot, like when we're setting up our myths of the week, is we'll freaking do research, and we'll see how far back we could go. James has a lot of archives that go way back in the way back machine. And we went, I think he went all the way back to 47 or something. Or it was
I went all the way back, I think it was to 1947, and I just quit looking at that point.
And it was still the same definition of outlet.
Yeah. And what was funny was they had, the boys over at ECD were casing me going, oh, you're using a substantiation for the grounding electrode size for concrete case electrode. That was decades ago, like 2 decades ago, and
I think it was 81 or 79 or something.
Yeah, it might have been 4 decades. But I said, yeah, because they did the technical merit and all the testing and everything. And I said, but isn't that interesting? You'll tell me that. I said, but you'll use a definition I know hadn't changed since 1947. And they just didn't even want to comment on that. And then all of a sudden, guess who you started hearing say that? Mike Oak. You started hearing him talk about that.
David's got to crash out. Thanks for joining us,
Good
David.
night,
really
David.
Appreciate you, man.
You joining us, brother.
Yeah, and it's good discussion, man. We love it. We've had a blast doing it. And like I say, I wouldn't be in on all this technical discussions with all this if I wasn't, hey, wait, what's up with this? What's up with that? I'm actually interested because, David, I actually submitted my public comments based on 3 things for 210.8F. Number 1, it was based on abnormal use of equipment. That abnormal use of equipment cannot be covered by the National Electric Code. You can try to anticipate for it, but it's utterly impossible. What are you going to do? Make a steel grate on top of every HVAC equipment so that kids don't jump on it? No. Number 2, is that it was a code violation to begin with. It should have never even been wired like that. That was a code violation. And then number 3, that not all hardwired utilization equipment is going to be compatible with Class A devices starting in January 1st, 2026, when a lot of these jurisdictions are going to adopt the 2026.
Sure.
So I just want to see how they answer that, because I mean, I want to just see them say it's no big deal and whatever and move on, and that's cool. But I don't know. Do you think we start the quiz, or should we just roll through?
Oh, we can do the quiz. I'll go ahead and
All right.
cue it up.
Let's jump to quiz. I think.
All
All
right.
right.
It's
Doing some
You're
flexing
up.
over there. All right. So, question number 1. Which of the following, like, I kind of wrote this wrong. This is kind of screwed up. So, which country of this list has no rivers? Is it A, Saudi Arabia? Is it B, Mongolia? Is it C, Belgium? Is it D, Chile? Or is it E, Ethiopia? Good luck, everyone. So I told you this was like super easy, James.
Well, you know, I think I know. You know, it's one thing to think you know, but, you know, we've done classes over seas and done things like that. And if I'm not mistaken, if I got this right, I think I don't think there's a river in Saudi Arabia. I hadn't been to Mongolia, Belgium, or Ethiopia, so I'm not sure. I've been to Chile, but I know Saudi Arabia didn't have one, so I think it's A.
Oh, so you're copying Daniel already, huh?
Mm-hmm. I'm copying.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, you both are correct.
Yeah.
It is A, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, it's mainly desert over. That's why I sort of knew that.
And I got Katie on that one. Katie said Ethiopia. All right. So, which 2 countries are sometimes considered one landmass known as Eurasia? Is it A, Europe and Africa? Is it B, Asia and North America? Is it C, Europe and Asia? Is it D, Asia and Australia? Or is it E, Russia and Asia? Good luck, everyone.
Well, I'll just go with the obvious here. C, Europe and Asia.
Oh, man, James. I mean...
You got
Well,
Europe
we'll
and
have to
Asia,
see.
Eurasia. That sounds pretty close to me.
Yeah. Well, you know, Europe wasn't always called Europe, you know? I mean, it could have been, Russia could have been old Europe, but looks like you're going to copy Daniel and get number 2 correct. So we have 2 correct answers so far.
I didn't even know if that was correct or not, but it made sense to me.
Yeah, well, like I said, I told you it was easy.
That was sort of a given there.
Yeah. So, all right. Question number 3. Which country has the most time zones? Is it A, Russia? Is it B, United States? Is it C, France? Is it D, China? Or is it E, United Kingdom? Good luck, everyone. All right,
is
so
a
I
good
get to
question.
put Katie's answer in here. Katie said Russia, so I didn't tell her the right answer yet. But
It's
Katie
France
picked
or
it.
Russia. I know that for a fact. I was trying to remember. I think there's 12 in France and
Ooh, Daniel's going C.
yeah. See, I was
Ooh.
saying the same thing. I think Russia's like 11 and France is like 12, if I'm not
Ooh,
mistaken.
I don't know, man.
I've been to
I don't
France.
know.
That's why I know that. I'm gonna go with France.
Oh man, so it's A against C. Man, really close, but looks like C is correct. It is
Okay,
France, and it is due to their territories around the world.
Yeah, I knew that. And I think the second one is Russia, isn't it? And then I think
Yeah.
it's China, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Russia was always like known as like the number one until like France started kind of getting all these different territories everywhere.
Yeah. I knew that. That was one I actually sort of had an idea on. Okay.
Yeah, I told you it was easy. All right, so what is the highest desert in the world excluding polar deserts? Is it A, the Gobi Desert? Is it B, the Kalahari Desert? Is it C, the Arabian Desert? Is it D, the Sahara Desert? Or is it E, the Great Sand Dunes? Good luck, everyone.
This
So a
is
little
interesting one.
bit of trickery here. Might have.
My
got
first
you.
instinct went to the Sahara Desert, but I don't know. I know it ain't the Great Sand Dunes. I know it isn't that, and I don't. The Arabian Deserts is not really high. The Sahara, I
No.
know, is a higher desert, but I'm between A and D. So,
Right.
God.
Yeah, the Sahara doesn't. The Gobi might be up there a little.
Yeah, I'm gonna flip on this. I landed on tail, so it's Sahara. That's what I'm going with.
All right. Well, it looks like Daniel comes through with the correct answer of E. The actual Great Sand Dunes was considered a desert, sitting at the elevation of 6,100 feet. So it has actually become the highest desert in the world recently.
Really?
Yeah. So
I would have
It
thought
just
the
got-
Sahara.
it just got that official title. So I wanted to
Oh, really?
come in here and crush you. Daniel knew it. Oh, Daniel, he's like Colorado.
I
boy.
didn't know that one.
All right. All right. Question number 5. Which country has the largest coastline in the world? Is it A, Australia? Is it B, Canada? Is it C, Indonesia? D, Norway? Or E, Antarctica? Good luck, everyone.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, we actually had a question on this before. You worded it different. If I'm not mistaken, it's Canada.
It might have changed. It might have changed.
I'm gonna go with B, Canada.
All right, and if the answer is B, Daniel wins the quiz tonight. Congratulations, Daniel, for crushing King James by one answer and getting the win. He's gonna be making his podcast about how rigged the quiz has been in the past and how he, has been.
I got 4 or 5, man. Still fucking lost that thing.
Good job. Like I say, I'm getting a little bit better, but at the same time, I'm trying to kind of throw in some repeats a little bit, like whatever. But
You suckers rigged it on me. You riggers.
yeah,
Y'all rigged it all.
Daniel comes through with the Great Sand Dunes as the highest desert in the world. Just actually acclaimed the highest desert in the world.
What was the one before it?
The
Sahara?
No, Sahara's like the lowest.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, there is parts of the Sahara that actually grow in altitude.
Well,
they
that's
don't
what I was
actually-
thinking.
Yeah, they don't actually know an official altitude because some of the sand dunes go to 1,000 meters, whatever that is.
So that's what I was thinking.
And-
That the Sahara is such a big desert. I thought it grew, got big and then it come down. So
Yeah. So it does get dunes of up to 3,000 foot above sea level.
Yeah.
But the Great Sand Dunes is 6,000 foot above sea level.
Okay.
So it's got it beat by a little bit.
All right. So that brings us tool of the week. Let's see what you
do
got
it.
this week.
Oh.
It's time for Tool Review of the Week. Sponsored by Electricians Only Tool Review and Nipex Tradesman.
All right. So this week it came out from one of the suppliers. This is actually tools that are not actually out yet, but they're coming out. And this one, I'm getting one. I mean, this has got to be the sickest tool to have in your arsenal. Especially they have this new DeWalt system coming out. It's called the Power Pack or the Power. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's the Power system. And so they have this whole new, charging, whole new battery, everything. It's supposed to be the most powerful battery out there, everything. And this core drill is supposed to just go through everything. I'm totally on board. The only problem that's going to happen is I could buy the drill for about $300-400, and then the bits are going to be $2,000, But, because they got to be diamond tipped and everything like that. But the whole thing is, I think this is a really good arsenal to have in your shop for your company. If you have one of these core drills, you could pretty much tackle any kind of project. You could put extensions on there. You could go up to, as thick a wall as you possibly want. We went through 3 foot thick walls before with this kind of setup,
Mm-hmm.
And especially it comes with the wet system and everything. I'm gonna have to look next week. There's a chance that Milwaukee already has some kind of setup like this, so I will do that next week and try to compare one of the DeWalts that's not actually out yet versus maybe a Milwaukee that is already released on the market and see how they compare. Maybe the Milwaukee one's running into troubles and maybe it might be detrimental on this product coming out, but I think it's going to be out probably end of this year, first of next year. But I think it's a pretty cool product, and like I say, I'd have it on my shelf if I could.
Okay, cool. All right. I had never seen that before. That's something new for me.
Yeah. Have you used the core drill before?
No, I hadn't used that one. No. I've
Well,
core
not
drilled
that
before,
one, but have you
that
used
was a
any
long
core
time
drill?
ago.
Yeah. So we've used core drills quite a bit for different stuff, schools and going through
Yeah.
foundations and stuff, and they're nice to have. A lot of times if they're not working right, then you have a long day. So
Yeah.
you got to make sure that they're got the right bits and get the right angle and your layout's right where you're coming into the building and everything. So
Okay.
they'll go right through rebar though.
Yeah.
So
All right. So you got a question of the week.
yeah, think you'll like this one.
Let's
Pretty
see what
easy.
you got here. Motors that are rare built for low speeds that are less. Oh, yeah. That's, I think it's section 430.6A1. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's B. I think it's 1200 RPM.
Well, I'm going to have to give you the right answer, and you're correct. I got a little bit of argument with the guys over that because it's code change for 2023, and they said it's not a code change. All it is they just put list items in there. That's a code change, So,
Huh.
I don't know.
Oh, that's something. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah. So like you're right. So, 436A1 was in the 2020, but 6A11 was new to the 2023.
Yeah.
And then they had 1, 2, and 3 as list items for the 2023.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So you guys get out there, open up your code books, all you apprentices out there, go see what we're talking about.
All right. So one
yeah.
more thing.
Wall of
This is
shame.
wall of shame. We're done for the evening.
Shame. 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 Shame.
Don't you just love that? Like ringing the bell, like walking them through.
I think it's funny.
Shame.
Shame. All right.
Oh,
wow.
we got Mr. Twister here. Usually what happens when people do this is they have one of those wire nut twisters and they just put the impact on their wire nut twister and then they just twist it all the way to China.
That looks
But
like crap.
I saw an apprentice doing that on purpose one time, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I just like them twisted," and I was like, "Somebody's gonna hate you." And
Wow.
sure enough, this gentleman posted this and was like, "Wow!" He's like, "Can you believe this?" It was pretty
something.
bad.
That's terrible right there. That looks like freaking crap.
Yeah, I don't know why some people like to super twist and then a lot of people correctly identified when you put that driver in your impact and you just twist it all the way back in the fixture.
Yeah.
It's just horrible. Like you don't need that much twist on them.
No, you
And
don't.
then a lot of times what happens is, Daniel knows exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, like there's people out there that are like, oh yeah, I like him really twisted a lot, And then what happens is they'll make a bunch of mistakes and they have all their wires like twisted up,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and that's a good point, Daniel. We actually covered that. Twist them by hand. You don't need to freaking go all the way to China like that, all the way down the whole wire into the fixture and everything. That's just ridiculous. And a lot of times what happens, Daniel knows exactly about this, is that they'll twist them like that, and then one of the conductors will slip back, and then they're twisted so bad all the way back in that you have to untwist them just to get the conductors to line back up again, and it's a pain, man. It's rough, so...
Yeah.
That is officially out in the field wall of shame.
Wow.
And,
All right.
yeah.
I'm getting hungry, brother. Oh,
Yeah, I figured you were, but like I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. I got a new song set up for you. I sent it over by email, but I don't know. You must not have got it. I didn't tell you to really look for it, but
you didn't
they
tell
should.
me.
They should come through. I'm just figuring I'll change the Myth of the Week song. It's not a big deal. Like I don't really care. But they're not liking using that song. So
Right.
I'll do a different one. I don't care. But I sent it over email, so maybe check your inbox, and then I don't know if I told you this, but I got Bo Nix in my fantasy this week, so
All right.
he's gonna have a good week. We got Carolina at home, and like you saw my power rankings, Carolina's pretty down there as far as their defense. So we'll see if they're able to stop Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos this weekend.
It'll be a good
It'll
game. I'm looking forward to
be
watching football.
interesting.
Well, I'm not going to watch them at Sunday because I'm going to play golf Sunday with the guys. So next breakout game this week, we'll see.
There you go. Yeah, I'm gonna have him at over 100 yards rushing. We'll
He does
see.
like to run.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, it should be Daniel, but we'll see. It's
Every week's so different. We've been through this. It doesn't matter who's playing. Anything can happen.
Yeah, and you got to watch out that you don't get into that. What was that? What was that thing you were saying? What was that? Yeah, it was the something jinx. The what was it? Oh man, you were saying what was it? Daniel was reminding me about it. Oh, it was the Dak Prescott jinx. Oh, that's what it was. Oh yeah, the Dak Prescott jinx. So, oh man, we got to ward off the Dak Prescott jinx with a pickle shot for Adam. Love you, Adam. Appreciate you coming by the Willie Quiz. Always do the pickle shots for you, Adam. And to ward off the Dak Prescott jinx. Cheers to you, Adam.
All right.
It's awesome.
I'm going to get me a freaking burger. I'm hungry.
Sounds good. Thanks everyone for
All day,
joining.
I've been busy.
Appreciate you, Daniel. Appreciate you, David Englehart. Thanks a lot for you guys popping in. We had a great time, and we always have fun doing these. And remember, make every day an easy day.
Amen. Everybody have a good weekend. Enjoy some football, and we're going to have good weather here. And we'll see some of y'all Monday. So, peace. We're out.